Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's November 15th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And here's a look at our daily chart. You can see we turned down today, closed below the brown line. Is this a reversal day? It's hard to tell at this point. It was mostly sideways, but we closed on the low. It does look kind of like a topping formation, but we'll see what happens. I'm not really convinced it looks like we closed outside and made a couple of legs up. This has been a really strong rally. Um, this just might be, we might correct just enough that we can relieve some of the overbought uh, situation and push higher again. I'm just not sure. So at this point, though, it kind of looks like topping action. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Um, this thing is severely overbought, but the market can stay overbought much longer than you can probably last trying to ride out the moves because this thing could keep running higher before it turns again. But we're well overdue for a correction. Is this the start of a correction? We'll see. Um, but anyway, let's. Here's what it looks like on the daily. Let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart, take a look, and go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day up. Okay, here's our 2,000 tick chart. You can see we were mostly in a range, mostly in the lower half of the. Well, I take that back. We spent really from mid morning to the close in the lower half, and then finally broke lower and tested these previous lows again. So really mixed trading here. There's not a lot of trades, but there's enough here that you can figure out what you want to do. I did a trade today that I recorded it live and kind of went over what I'm thinking in my head, what I'm looking for, and it was this trade right here. Um, so that video is posted to the website. It's free for anybody to watch, so you don't have to be a member. Go over to the website and look down the right-hand side of any page and look for uh, uh, the post and the daily post, and you can see that article and or that video, and you can watch it. Eventually, I will probably even later today. I'll flip it over to. I always like to give my members a chance to see it first before I show it to the rest of the world. So at some point, I'll make it live on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch it here if you don't want to go over to the website. But it's there. Go over there and take a look if you hadn't seen it already. I think it's good stuff. It tells you, I go over and show you exactly what I'm thinking, exactly what I'm looking at, exactly why I took the trade. So it should be helpful for those that want to know how to find the trades and what to be looking for and what to be studying and so forth. And I want to mention one other thing before I get started here. Another trader emailed me today and he says, after the fact, I can find every one of these trends, these setups, most of the trades. He says, but when I go to doing it in real time, I can't do it. Well, I mean, that's normal. That's the first part of the process is to be able to do this after the fact. And when you can consistently do this after the fact, then you know the basics. So the rest of it is just about learning to do it in real time. And how do you do that? Through experience. I mean, we talked about this the other day. This is a skill. Make sure you understand this is a skill. Just like you couldn't go jump in the World Series tomorrow and be the designated hitter and expect to get a hit and win the winning hit to win the game, you can't do that without skills. Well, trading's no different. This is the World Series of trading. Live markets are the World Series of trading, and you can't expect for you to make a dollar doing this, somebody has to lose a dollar. And so you got to be as good or better than the professionals to beat them. Simple as that. So how do you get there? It's a skill, and you have to hone this skill and practice. It's a lot of hard work. It's studying. It's you can't just trade and close up and go home. If you're one of those traders that comes in and trades and closes up, and then maybe goes and watches my video or you just trade and close up and go home, you're never going to learn to do this. You don't get better trading. You need as much screen time as you can, seeing everything every day and working on and taking the trades, and that's when you need to be on the simulator. But where the real work comes is at the end of the day when you're through trading. Then you go back, you study your chart, you study your trades, you look for the patterns, you figure out what you missed, figure out why you missed it, and improve on it, figure out what you did good at, try to do more of it, and then compare what you did to my chart so you can see if you're on the right track. I mean, that's why I do this, so you can compare your stuff to mine and see if you're on the right track. You don't have to see it exactly like me, but you should be real close, and you should be seeing the same trades for the most part. Occasionally there might be one or two that look better on my chart or look better on your chart, but for the most part our charts should look relatively similar. If they look totally different, then you're doing something wrong. Keep working at it. But yeah, that's why this takes so long. It's the skill. It's the honing of the skill. I mean, some people can learn the basics and how to find it, the setups, and how to read the chart and all that after the fact in a few months. Most it takes longer than that. But what takes so long is is honing the skill. You got to be skilled at this. You got to be as good as the professionals, because if that's why 10% of the traders make all the money, and the other 96 are just donors. Don't be a donator. You've heard me say that a million times. That's one of my favorite phrases. Don't donate your money to the winning traders. Get on the simulator while you're learning and save your money for when you can trade live, when you're skilled enough. And in the meantime, hone your skills to where you're as good as them, because otherwise you're just going to donate they're going to win your dollars and take them and put them in their pocket. You might get a few winners in there, but in the long run, it's like sitting at the blackjack table. The odds are on the side of the house. And when you sit down to trade at this screen right here and you're trading this chart and live, the odds are on the sides of the skilled traders, the professionals. How'd they get that way? Through years of practice and study and doing this every day. And so just don't expect you're going to learn this overnight. You're not going to do it. I don't give it. You might learn to mark this chart out and find this stuff and explain these trades. There's a ton of people with videos every day that do just that. But can they get on the screen in live time and find this stuff and make money? That's the real key. It's not that hard to learn to see it after the fact, but that's your first goal, to learn to see it after the fact, to be able to take this blank chart and mark it up and make it look pretty much like this. And if you can do that, you're on the right track. You're learning. But you're not there yet, because you got to be able to do this in real time. So go watch that video. It shows you what I'm looking for, what I'm thinking the whole time, why I'm looking for a short, why I'm looking for that short right there. And I think it's good stuff that'll help people. So anyway, here it is. Here's the day, just a range day. We closed on the lows. It looks similar to a reversal day on the daily chart. We'll see. But notice I talked about this the last few days. Here's where we closed yesterday. Here's where we opened today at 8:30. So there was a gap right here. So that was another reason I was looking for prices to go lower, to possibly fill that gap, because they usually fill it on the same day or real soon thereafter. And we've got another one a few days back that still hadn't been filled. Maybe that's where we're headed now. I don't know. We'll see. But that was another reason that I maybe didn't talk about in the video, that I was looking for prices to possibly fill this gap, because the chart does not like those gaps. So anyway, there it is. Let's zoom in, go through the trades. Now, there was a bunch more important news this morning, all revolving around the economy and so forth. Manufacturing, core PPI. This is a little, PPI is different than the CPI, but they're based on the same things, just a different type, just a different measurement. So you need to be flat for anything that's red like that. Retail sales, that kind, anything that's red, just be flat 15 or 20 minutes prior. Now, if it's an FOMC announcement, be flat an hour before. But these others, about 15 minutes, and you're probably good. And you can see there was a little, right at 7:30, there was a big jump, and then it sold off real strongly. So you just need to be flat there for 5 or 10, 15 minutes, and then things kind of went back to normal. So there really weren't any trades until after the 7:30 news. So we'll pick up right in here. There's no real trades here, but then we come up, you get a little bit of a close outside, move to a new high, and then you get a lower high right there. You don't really get a second entry right there, so I'm a little wary of that entry. But when you get the second entry here on a lower high with a very bearish spark, just go short right there. That's an easy scalp right there. We come down here. It's tempting to want to go long right there, but that's not rejection. It ends up fighting its way out of there, but that's not rejection. So be careful taking any trades in there right there. It should touch and just take off. I don't see that happening right there. So you hit it, touched here, it traded down and touched, and then it went a little lower and it tries to, and it doesn't make a new high or anything. That was really tempting right there. And if you took it, you would have ended up getting out of it. But I think you need to wait on a higher low there, and it comes here, and the signal bar is no good. So we work our way up, and we're just kind of chopping sideways here. That one is tempting to go long. You could probably take that trade. I didn't mark it. You might argue that's a triple test. This could be slightly higher right there. And if you look at it like that, it's a triple test. It did make a new low, but I think there's still room to scalp out there. You can see there's just enough. So you could probably take that trade right there. I didn't mark it green, but blue, but it runs up here and breaks out up here. And because you get that 2-bar matching high and the big bearish bar that closes back inside, I like that when there's plenty of room to scalp out. This actually comes over a little more. I like that trade. And this one just keeps going this time. And then we're just stuck in another. And that one's too close to the lows. No setup here. It does break on through. And then we break out lower down here below these lows. So that's another one. I talk about these a lot, especially since it closed back inside. Generally, you want to wait on a higher low. But these often are important lows, and you can see that was the low before we went all the way back to the high. So if you catch that, you may catch a runner, and you might be able to ride this all the way out. That's the reason I like to trade these. They're a little more higher risk, but with a slightly more risk, there's usually more reward if you're right. So just keep that in mind. There is a higher low right here. Again, I didn't mark it because there's a double top right there, and so I'm a little wary of it. It does close back inside. Once it turns back down there again, I don't see anything. It breaks lower and turns up again, but that just looks too congested. We do come over here and pull back. First entry, you get a new high, so you get a first entry long, it pulls back, and when it breaks higher there, that's a second entry long. And it's a good signal bar. The problem is you got a little resistance there. It's not very far to some more resistance. It looks a little congested. But it's clearly right off that trend line and confirms it. So maybe you take that. If it's a range day, we're probably going to work higher. And we've been seeing a lot of this lately. So sometimes you might want to risk these. I'm still going to mark it green, but I'll tell you, I liked that trade in real time. The odds were it was going higher. And you see what it does. It just it shoots up and then starts chopping. That's what this thing's been doing lately. It makes these huge moves and then goes sideways. So you got to take the right trades out of that sideways stuff, but if you don't take some of them, you won't get a trade a lot of times. But anyway, we work up, it starts chopping sideways. That one's definitely too congested, not a very good signal bar. You get a higher low here, but no setup, and look at it take off again. There's 2 legs back, so there's a second entry long here. Now, notice the overshoot here. That's definitely an overshoot, because look at the channel high. Everything fits, and you got that one overshoot. That's an overshoot. On an overshoot right there, it's dangerous, but you might even take the entry right there. If that had more of a bearish close, or this didn't have so much stem, you could trade it on the engulfing bar. Maybe you take those. We're not quite to the highs, and an overshoot here is either going to lead to a reversal or a break, most likely. Once you get this overshoot, a break is coming soon, and it may be a reversal. So you know not to take any trades until you get a good setup. And you get a second entry here, but look at the signal bar. Then you run up, and you finally get this. The only reason I like this one is because it's such a small bar. It's so low risk. And we're going to retest this high most likely. So maybe you take that trade. There's a higher low. There's a failure here, but you wouldn't look for one there. And well, guess what? You make the new high. There's also, I drew this trend line. This was during the video just to talk about it, show you that once you get more than a couple of swings, if it keeps going higher, draw you a new trend line. It'll probably play out just like any other. And you can see you got a break, it attempted a new high, and it turned down. If you got a really good signal bar here with plenty of room back to the EMA, you might take that short. But I think it's a little risky here because it is a double top at this point, but it could break lower and turn up. I mean, there hadn't been a bunch of the resistance is really a little higher, so you don't know. Now we know this is probably the highs of the day, and it looks like the high, and you can see how all this other stuff fits on the midline. So it turned out to be right, but you didn't have that much information yet. There's a good chance that we were going to turn down now because this is all played out over here. And again, go watch the video. I explain it all. But if you had a good signal bar, maybe you go short there. And it runs down. You get so you got a tight channel. But what I was looking at earlier, as soon as I got that next turn down right there, maybe there's a channel here. And you could see it playing the midline, everything. We end up getting a break. So the channel is legitimate, but it doesn't continue on. But you might still get a retest of the lows here. Somebody asked me, why would I take this trade? You didn't get confirmation of the trend line. Well, no, but it could be a range day, and we're playing off the highs up here too. So there's another double top right across there. There's other reasons that we're taking this trade. It's a second entry short. We're making lower highs and lower lows. You got basically, I'd still call that a double top. So you're making, regardless, it's a lower high. It's much lower than that high, and it's lower than that high, and then you had a double top. So we're in a downtrend here. There's some support down here. Will we get through it? We don't know, but we'll probably go back on that second entry and test it again, and that's what happened, and we got through. So where are we headed next? To the lows down here, the next support, and where would we go from there to the to retest or to fill the gap? And look where we went before we bounced. So you got to understand all this stuff. Some of you are trying to box this into exact rules, and that's not what we're chart readers. Yeah, you want to see the trend line or key entry point, but if you can't understand why you might go short there on that second entry, then you got a lot of work to do. But I was looking at this as a downtrend, yes. But when we went on through there, still doesn't mean we won't retest the lows. It could have just been two legs down, but then we got two legs up. So and it looks like we're topping out here. You really got a double top. So what does that mean? We may get two more legs down, or we might get one more leg like these two legs. So you can't box yourself in. In the end, I just removed this. I think we're playing the range more. So, but that still didn't, even if you didn't see the range, because I really didn't look at the range that hard until after it bounced again. Then I said, okay, something's going on here. But anyway, it's a second entry short, runs up, you get a close outside, move to a new high, double top, third lower high. Yeah, I'm going to take that trade every time. I wanted to take it right here, but it went higher first and then turned down, and I didn't want to take it on the engulfing bar because of all that stem. So you go short right there. I didn't get a runner. I moved my stop to break even. I had it at break even originally. It looked like it was going to hit break even, so I moved it real quick to break even +1 just to pay for my 5 runners. So I didn't take a loss on my 5 runners. I made 5 ticks, and that would pay my commissions on the 5 contracts. So those were a wash. Actually, I probably made a few dollars on that, but not much. And then we head lower. It takes it a minute to get through that support, but guess what? It makes a trout right there and turns down. That is real tempting to go short, but because it's right in the midline and we just bounced off of it, I'd probably sit that one out. Runs on down, bounces up, makes a double bottom here, runs up, get a close outside, a new high, and then a lower high. That's that similar pattern, but you don't get a signal bar here. You can't take it. Then we just start chopping sideways. We're not getting rejection down here. So that's a sign that, hey, it doesn't mean we still won't fight our way up and climb out of here eventually, but you're not getting rejection, so be careful looking for longs down here. Here's another one of those failed break lowers way away from the EMA. I talked about that over here on the other one, so you can go back and listen to that. Same thing. You might take that trying to catch a breakout because we could go higher. And you'll probably at least get a scalp here, and you might get a runner on it. You didn't get a runner here. They came back and got it, but we didn't go much higher either. So a lot of times these breakouts would just rock it off. Like right here, if you took that one, you got a runner and it never came back. Well, it did come back eventually, but you would have been able to get a nice runner out of that. So that's why we try to trade those. But they're risky. So you see if you'd have taken this one, I don't think you would have survived that one. It looks close. Nope, see, you would have been at a one tick failure there. So it's risky, but you can clearly see the downtrend channel, so you wouldn't go long there on that one. It turns down right at the trend line. In fact, you could trade that as a failure, breakout pullback failure if you wanted, but it didn't get back to the EMA, and it's not really where you trade a failure, so it's not one you really want to trade. You get a second entry here, but we've moved so far, and you do get a close outside. This is another one. Maybe you take that, but I'd probably skip it personally. So if you want to be aggressive, maybe you take that one because that is a second entry with the trend, and it's just a mild close outside. It's probably convincing, but notice we make a new low and we rock it out of there. Now there's a higher low here, but it's right into the EMA. You can't do that. And so you don't get a chance to trade that one. Runs up, you get a close outside, a few swings to a new high. They try to go higher once, twice, so you got 3 attempts to go higher, and bearish bar still way away from the EMA. If it breaks lower there, I'm going with it. Turns out to be a pretty nice trade. Comes down here and tests the lows again, bounces, but no setup. Comes up, gets a close outside, move to a new high, and notice once again we try to go higher once, twice, 3 times. It does make a new high, so I marked it green, but honestly I like that trade. I would take it because all that congestion and with it breaking on that side and failing, it's probably going to at least come back to the EMA and probably come back and test the lows again. And you can see how it kind of you can see it did get some support at the EMA, so that's why you have to watch that. You don't care as much about it when you know you're going sideways, but we don't know this is a range for sure because we got a lower low here than these lows, and you got a higher high here than these highs, but later on you can see those lows came back into play. We drop down, come back. There's that repeat pattern again. We got the sell off, and you're coming up, you get the close. This one doesn't get a close outside. Maybe it does. Let me just draw this a little more accurately. Let me get right off the low. So maybe there is a close outside there and a move to a new high. You don't get a signal bar though. So another second entry. That's a repeat pattern from the trade I took. And there was another one. There was a trade I took. There was another one somewhere over here, right there. We've had that pattern several times a day. When you see those repeat patterns, pay attention to them. So anyway, where was it? We talked about that. Here it is right here. So maybe you take that trade. Or this was it right here, but you didn't get the signal bar, so that's why you don't take that one. Okay. Then we bounced here. No reason to go long there. Higher low here, but it's right into the midline. We did just come off the lows, so that one's a possibility. The problem is that next swing right there, there's only a point. There's probably enough if you look all the way to the top, and you see it did get just enough because it looks such a stem there. I mean, it takes a lot of buying to reverse that, but we've seen that a few times, and then just to watch it turn down, I just think it's too risky. If you had a better signal bar there, maybe. But with that signal bar, I'm not crazy about it. Of course, that leads us, and notice we made another new low here, just barely outside, but it's still inside that channel. It's after 2 o'clock. It's just a first entry. I wouldn't take that, even though it looks like a nice move. And then guess what? Here's that repeat pattern again. It's after hours, but it's after 2:30. You're coming up, you get the close outside, new high, and then boom, that gives you a lower high as well, and boom. That would have been a great trade and another lower high follow up if it was not so late in the day. But anyway, there it is. Go watch the video. I'll make it live here on YouTube, probably maybe later tonight after this uploads or something. Probably definitely by tomorrow. So, but if you want to see it and don't want to wait for it to come on here, just go to the website and watch it there. But anyway, yeah, not a bad trading day considering how choppy and crazy it is. But these are hard days, especially for people that are not real experienced at reading a chart. You gotta be able to see all the small nuances and things. It just nothing takes the place of it other than experience. And so, a lot of you when you're new, you're better off not to even try to trade this stuff live because you just get chopped to pieces. You got to understand what's going on. You got to be able to see it. You got to be able to react quickly. You can watch how quick I put my orders in today. I snap them in there real fast. And so, I'll get people that say, I couldn't get my order in time. And I rarely ever have a hard time. Every now and then triggers, but usually it's instant. So it wouldn't matter what you were doing, you couldn't get your order in time. Otherwise, usually you have 5 or 10 seconds to get your order in before it ticks on past. And it only takes you, once you start doing this enough, you just right click, boom. There they are right there. I'm either looking for a buy stop or a sell stop. Here, depends on where prices are. So you can't even there's your sell stop if I was trying to put one. And you got to be below prices to put in a sell stop. And you got to be above prices. You only can do buy stops. So it's going to be one of those bottom two every time. I don't use those limit order. I wonder if there might even be some way to take those off. So and never don't use a limit. The only time we use a limit order is when we're exiting. So I never even hit these orders because that part of mine is automated. So the only thing I'm looking for if I'm wanting to go short, I put it where I want it, click it, and I'm looking for sell stop market right there, third one down. And when I'm going long, boom, I click it. I'm looking for sell stop or buy stop market, third one down, boom. That's the only two trades I use. That's the only two trades you need. Now I take that back. Occasionally, like if one does trigger fast and I really like the trade, let's say this one triggered real fast here, and it was already trading down here. You might just click on it and put of course prices would have to, you put a sell limit right there. And see if it'll back up and get you. So that might be the only time I use a limit order. It's rare that I do that. Once a month, maybe. Not even that much, probably. Maybe a 6 to 8 times a year. Depends on the market. The market changes and does things, back and forth. So just really depends. But for the most part, if you were looking to go short right here, you just click it. Boom, sell stop, boom. And your order's there. And if it's in the wrong place, grab it real quick and move it to the right place. You'll see me do that. I think I actually put my order in the wrong place or something, and I have to move it real quick. Or maybe I just double checked it. I can't remember, but I remember clicking on it and looking at it. And you don't want to move your order if you don't have to, because the sooner once you put it in, you're in the queue. So if you move it and then move it back, then you get further back in the queue. So once, the idea behind doing this is that's why we like the automated trades, because as soon as your trade triggers, it puts everything else in, your exit order and your runner order if you're using runners. And so you're in there instantly and you don't have to go play around adding those orders, and you're you're higher in the queue because it's first in, first out. So you always want to be early in the queue. That's why if you're early enough, a lot of times you don't have to get a limit order to exit. Prices may just touch your order and take you out. That happens quite a bit with me. It's not regular. Usually you can almost just about count on prices having to trade through a limit order to fill it. But you'd be surprised how many times you'll get filled on a limit order on those automated orders because your order gets in there fast. So and you're higher in the queue than everybody else that excuse me, that comes in there after the fact. So anyway, there it is, 30 minutes again. I hate these long videos. I know a lot of you like it, but I did spend a little bit of time talking earlier and showing you stuff. And this is all important stuff for people, especially newbies. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. And guess what? Thursday tomorrow we'll be wrapping up our week. Man, these weeks are just, it's going to be Thanksgiving. And I'm going to take that whole week off. I'll tell you that ahead of time. So when is that? Is that next week? I don't know. Heck, I don't even know. No, I'll give you a heads up, but I'm going to take that whole week off. I may work Monday, but I'll probably take the rest of the week off. Probably won't even work Monday. We'll just have to see. Depends on what the weather's doing. If it's nice weather, I'll probably take the week off. If it's raining and nasty around here, which it could be, a lot of times it is on Thanksgiving, and there's nothing much to do, I may come in and work. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.